Welcome back to Uncharted 1 on Brutal Difficulty. This is Chapter 15, On the Trail of Treasure. So I think that this is relatively an okay chapter. The only reason that I ever remember this chapter whenever I'm doing repeat playthroughs or just whenever I have to quickly remember a chapter off the top of my head, I only know this one because it's the one that has the graveyard fight all the way at the end. Which reminds me a lot of The Evil Within's Chapter 6. And I'll always remember that chapter because that was really the chapter that just sucked complete total balls. And I don't know why, but I truly think that every person on this planet who wants to make a game, or at the very least, think of ideas on how to make a very challenging difficulty that's still relatively fair, should play Evil Within on a Kumu difficulty. I'm not asking for you to finish it, I'm asking for you to play it, because there are certain things about that difficulty that work, and there are also a lot of things that don't work because they clash super hard with the way that the game is designed, or the way that it's supposed to work whenever the systems interact with each other. Like, having one-hit kills is something I'm fine with, if it weren't for the fact that there are certain things in the game that will straight up just murder you, and you cannot possibly take risks and be bold, because you're too afraid that you're not going to get a checkpoint and be able to continue onward. But after dropping down there, we're going to have some enemies. I come over here to the left thinking that maybe I can make a couple of them come over to me, but then I realize that that's really not going to work, so I run back upstairs and I will start shooting them with a cover trick. That dude's an idiot. I mean, look at that. He thought he was all gangster, he was going to show the cool youngins how it's done, and then he just sat there and did nothing. I love it when the enemies do that. You know, sometimes you just get lucky and enemies just do nothing. Other times they'll come around the corner and then you will literally see the bullet come around the door that you're sitting behind in order to hit you. And then you'll get stuck in black and white. And usually that's the part where I panic and start punching people. But for once it actually works out relatively well. But I love this. Like, I'm just shooting through that door. It's so good. I always love that trick. It's just amazing. If I had to be honest, though, I have no idea how I would ever play this game on Brutal if that trick didn't exist.
Sully, I'm just going in circles.
So there's going to be an edit coming up, and I kind of have to explain this one, because don't you worry, everyone, there's nothing that will kill you in that section right there. I got to that doorway, and then I went over to the left, and I jumped down into the fountain area or whatever, and I kid you not, I spent a good, like, 2 or 3 minutes running around trying to remember where in the world I was supposed to go, because it's been a while since I played this game. And then I finally found where I was supposed to go, and I didn't want to keep that in the guide, so I just put a really bad looking edit in there, hopefully to fix it. Still pretty bad. I wish I could have synced that up a little bit better, but that's okay. Pretty soon we're going to get inside of the church. I believe it's a church. That's going to have a lot of platforming sequences, and I always remember this platforming sequence coming up because of the fact that, for some weird reason, I always tend to fall off about 90 times before I actually get this sequence to work. But before we get to it, we're going to have about 2 or 3 dudes that all spawn in over there from the right. So we're just going to take them all out with some blind fire, pepper them a bit, and shoot them down. So once those 2 dudes are down, now you're just going to have a relatively large platforming sequence that, in order to pass it, you need to get all the way over to the opposite side and jump on top of 2 keys, and then you will be able to proceed onward with the level, and then we'll get to the graveyard fight.
That's gotta be it.
But I always remember this sequence in particular because of the fact that there are a lot of jumps in here that are kind of deceiving, and that's one thing that the later games do a much better job at, is sometimes in this game there will be parts where you're just like, okay, clearly I need to jump from this platform over to this platform in order to keep going, but yet that's not actually what you're supposed to do. Like, I think it's this next part coming up. Like, here, I would try jumping over to that wooden platform that's in front of me, as opposed to this little ledge that's right here that you're supposed to grab onto. And I must have tried that about 30 times, because I just couldn't see that little ledge that you were supposed to grab onto instead. It doesn't matter what order you get the keys in. So I just come over here to the left first, because I always screw up these jumps for some weird reason. I don't think I had an edit back there, but you know, I'll check later. It's not like we can check now. But on my crushing run, I got stuck here for literally about 20 minutes, and it was one of the most frustrating platforming sequences in the game, for seemingly no reason. It was very strange. I don't understand why that ended up happening, but it just kind of did, so we're going to have to take it in some strides. But as of the last couple of days, I've been checking out the usurpers, because they just came out for Armello. And Alicia is a lot better than I thought she was going to be. I was incredibly wrong about her hero power. I thought that her hero power was going to be worthless because I just didn't see when fortifying stuff would be any useful. But it turns out it is. And same thing with Gore. I didn't know how powerful his ability was going to be, and then I realized it was super good. Sargon I'm not going to play because I don't want to cherry pick my draws because I don't want to get used to a character like that. And then Magna, she should probably break the game somehow. I don't know how, but I just know it's going to happen because Reflect on Reflect is probably really dumb. But I'm really excited for a bunch of additional stuff this year because I don't really have anything else to really look forward to for the rest of the year. Like, I think the only game that's really on my list of stuff to play is Final Fantasy 15 and another game that a friend recommended to me, Seasons After Fall. I'm going to have to check that one out pretty soon because you basically play as a fox in control of a bunch of seasons, and it's a puzzle game. And I've been told, it's supposed to be like a nice, calm, relaxing game, so I'll have to check that out at some point. I might cover it, if I enjoy it. But this is the graveyard fight. And I died. I only died once, which was actually really great, but it wasn't a first try, unfortunately. So first, I like to grab the sniper rifle that's over in the crate over there to the right. And now, from here, from this position, I will snipe out everybody else, because you got a nice, really good position up here. And the only way that all the enemies can get to you, as long as you're behind this one little piece of cover, is to come all the way over around to the right side and then loop up and then come to you. And trust me, you'll know if they will come up over to the right side, because it just takes far too long for them to get over there. Like this dude right here, he's trying to come over there, but I'm not going to let him. I'm just going to shoot him full of lead before he can even have a chance to do that. But this first part of the fight isn't really that hard, as long as you realize that there are a couple of snipers over there near the gates that will shoot you down if you try getting over there. But as long as you just take your time, kill everyone. I don't know how that dude got midair momentum and he went up when I was shooting him from an elevated position, but oh well. I'm not going to question it. It looks kind of funny and cool. But the second part of this fight is going to trigger after you go up the stairs all the way over there that we'll get to in a moment. So what I do is, there's a little bit of a mausoleum or a slight building. A little bit of a much more dignified grave. So we're just going to run back and we're going to get behind that as soon as I can actually see the enemies. But there they are. All the enemies have spawned now. I'm going to shoot a couple cheeky shotgun shots at them, and then we're going to come all the way back to this grave right here. This is going to be our power position until we actually kill the rest of the enemies, because they have no choice but to come down through those stairs. It's not like they can drop down from a ledge at some other place in order to get to us. So, because of this, we can just safely stay back, because all of them, or at the very least most of them, will try using shotguns and try rushing you. So by the time that they actually manage to get close enough to you to be able to shoot you dead with a shotgun, because brutal difficulty is very fair, in that they don't one-shot you from modest ranges, you'll be able to take them all out, and it's perfectly fine. The only problem with this strategy is the fact that, for some reason, I had one enemy decide to stay back and not move up, which is a bit of a problem, and you're going to see him in a moment, because I'm glad that this made it in, but there's a dude right up there. You can probably see him, and his shotgun's going to come through the hedge fence that's right there. You can see him. I can see him moving right there. He's literally right above me, and I'm waiting for him to do something because I know that he's there. So I'm going to take a couple cheeky shots at him, and sooner or later you're going to see him start trying to blast me. There's a bit of a grenade there, but that's okay. Grenades aren't really that big of a deal in this game. So I'm going to try maybe getting myself into a better position so I can shoot him down. But I know that he has a shotgun, so what I could have done, admittedly, is run up over to the stairs that we ran up in order to trigger the spawn of enemies, and then just shoot him down with a pistol. I honestly could have done that, but I didn't really feel like doing that. I spent a bit of time running back to try to force him out here a little bit more, because there's no way I'm risking all of that, because this is all on one checkpoint. The moment you drop down until you get inside the building that Sully told us to go to is all one checkpoint. But I think all the enemies are dead now. But congratulations, you have done Chapter 15 Graveyard Fight. That fight was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, but at the same time, I can tell you from my crushing run that I was on that Graveyard Fight for a while. So that fight can be really tricky if the enemies all decide to come at you all at once. But if you have some good knowledge on where you can stand in order to shoot everyone down, you should be fine. And the cool part about this chapter, at least the relaxing thing to know about it, is that feel free to really spend the next couple chapters as you will, because be at ease, viewers, the next difficult chapter in this game isn't going to be until chapter 20, and once you get past 20, the rest of the game is more or less a straight shot until you get to the RNG box of doom that's over in chapter 22, which is really stupid. But here we're just going to solve a quick puzzle, and then we're going to get to chapter 16, which is going to be a nice, calm, relaxing chapter compared to the last couple of chapters that we've had that have had a lot of really hectic firefights. And I really like chapter 16. I think it's a good chapter. But here the puzzle is basically just to turn all of the symbols to look the way that they do over in Nate's journal. Which admittedly, sometimes you do have to wonder where in the world he gets a lot of the information that's in his journal from. Because he just sort of has it. You never really see a lot of the research process that Nathan probably did for a lot of his expeditions. And I know there's probably some log somewhere, like story blurb, that explains how he gets most of the stuff that he does. Some of them are completely, fine because they go over them in the course of the game. But others of them, it's just like, how in the world did he get them in his journal? But that's the end of the chapter, so I'll see you guys next time for chapter 16.